Hi guys, Blake Hernandez here with my friend Jet. Jetty Poo. Jet is, she's a longtime client of mine, kind of. She's actually been a contest dog for me. She's been, a demo dog, and I have watched her kind of switch homes, unfortunately, along the way, but always me as a groomer. Unfortunately, Jet here was diagnosed with Addison's, and so she has a few health ailments associated with Addison's, and even though she is an older dog, she acts and kind of looks a lot older than she really is, so we keep her in a nice we keep her in a nice Miami trim, so it's just going to be 4 all over on her body. I do still scissor her legs, but if we get to a time where she needs an even shorter groom, we could clip those bracelets, as long as we wanted them. Same with her top knot. I still scissor her top knot, but if there ever comes a time where she really needs less time on the table, then we can clip her top knot as well. So I'm going to start with a 4F. Okay. I'm going to do this just to knock off the hair. So the reason why I'm doing this, just in case you guys didn't notice, I do an article for Groomer to Groomer every month. And she is the dog featured in this trim in the article this month. So I'm going to do it live so that you guys have a video to go with the article. I'm going to try to do that every month. So this is the haircut that I gave her for the article. So we're kind of just going to go over that live so you have something to reference. So I'm going to do a 4F. And in the article, she already has her feet, face, and tail base shaved. Also, she's growing in from a shakedown, so her tail's short. We're not going to mess with it today, and we're not really going to do a whole lot with her ears, but we'll get there. 4F, and I clip everything off. This is an Oscar Volt. I have had every cordless clipper on the market, and I truly love this Oscar Volt. When I first started grooming, it was the first one I bought, and I loved it so much I bought a second one, and then I lost the charging station, so I was down to just one charging station, and then that charging station started to go wonky on me, and when I went to go replace the clipper, charging base, it was like almost the same price as doing just a whole new system altogether. And I thought, well, that's not cool. So I went out and I tried all the other ones, and I had to come back to the Oscar Volt. It truly is my favorite. Okay. So her little solitaire patch is still up here. So I'm not going to clip that quite yet. I'm way off the screen now. Let's push her forward a little bit. So I have a dog sitter that lives on my property. We have a mother-in-law unit in the backyard. And Jet is her dog. So she does technically live in my house, but she lives in the other little house. So it feels like she's my dog. She comes into my house to say hi. So I'm going with the grain everywhere, but I'm going to go against the grain on the inside of the leg. So if I were to be doing it on the side that you can see, I would lift like that. You don't want to ever lift their foot higher than where their knee is. And I would go reverse, which is what I already did over here. Now I need to do it on this side. So I just want it a little bit tighter between her legs. Like I said, I have a pretty close relationship with this dog. And she's one of those dogs that squats super, super low to go pee. All the way down on the ground, so she's in a puddle, so she stays cleaner if her inside legs are really, really tight. Okay, I'm going to talk about the pattern lines here, but before I get there, I just want to show you that her Solitaire Pattern, which is this diamond up here, is still there from last time. I don't want it to be like a big turtle shell humpback. So I am going to take it down with a 1 guard. The reason why I want it longer than everything else on the dog is because when I scissor it into the pattern, it's going to lose a little bit more length. So I don't want it to be the same length as everything else, because then when I blend it, it's going to be shorter. All right. Okay, so the pattern here. Hi, Jack. Okay, so the pattern here, which is always harder to see this on white dogs. Hi. It's always easier to see this on white dogs, but I'll show you. This you need a long comb for. One with wide tines is usually best. And what you do is you first take your thumb and you put the turn of your thumb, your joint, on the top of their hock there. And then that is the top of the back of your pattern line for a bracelet on a standard. So it ends up being a little bit lower, or sorry, a little bit less of your thumb for a mini, and then obviously a little bit less for a toy. But for a toy, you can usually just do that first joint of your thumb. And then the line is a 45-degree angle. So if she was standing a little bit more, proper, it's a 45-degree angle forward. So you come lower in the front. Okay, and then you can just go across so that even though it's a 4, it's still a pretty crisp line. Okay. So now I want my front bracelet to match my back bracelet. So you're going to take that comb that I talked about and you're going to put it here. It's okay, Jack. She also likes to stand at the back of the table. Okay, you're going to take your comb and you put it next to the bracelet, and then you grab the tine that is the same height as the top of your bracelet, and then you move it to the front. And then that is where your shave line is going to be at the top of your front bracelet. So that's how you keep those even. So I usually go around the leg so that I don't cut into the cowlicks and take it significantly shorter in one place. The cowlicks kind of run up and down the dog's leg. So when you're going around and when you go down, it won't take it as short. It's that up that will take it really short. Hi. Everyone's saying hi, Jet. Okay. So now let's get the bracelets done just really quick so that she can start sitting down. Because that's what we want. We want her to be able to sit down and rest. So I'm going to comb everything down. Then I hold everything down in the back of the bracelet, and I'm just going to etch right across. Now, because of her Addison's, her hair has gotten really wispy in her age. It's still nice when it's short, but once it starts to grow long, it gets weird. What blade do I have on there? I have a 4 blade for all this body work, but right now what I'm doing with the clipper, I'm using a 40, and then the solitaire I did with a 1. That way we can kind of blend into it a little bit easier. Okay, but then on the front of this bracelet, I just comb everything down and I don't hold it. I just tap where that line is. And then you're going to repeat that process on the front. And a lot of us have done a lot of Miami trims. So a lot of this is going to be pretty simple to refine with yours, or already pretty on point with what you're doing. But I find that trick for the bracelets really helps people keep their bracelets even. And I find that the way I blend in those short ears is really cute. So that's what I want to get to show you too. So if you roll this skin up, that tuck up skin is not so flappy and scary. So you can kind of get any of those hairs that are curling in and acting strange. Thank you, Anne. And if you guys have any more questions, feel free. You can, feel free to ask them. That's why I'm here. Okay, hi. So we have another shave line that I need to talk about, and that is the retro shave line on the dog's neck. So right now her face is shaved in the traditional corner of the eyes, the corner of the ear, V down to the neck, and that's what's shaved so far. I want to show you how you would turn it into a retro shave pattern. So, what I like to do is if you take your finger and you place it on the dog's top line, you can draw a line straight towards the front. And that is the lowest part of your shave line for your neck. And then, before I come around the sides, what I do is with the dog's head facing straight forward, I just take my clipper and I go straight down into the withers until the clipper blade wants to stop on its own. If I were to go any further past this point, I would have to turn my clipper and run down the dog's spine. And that's not what I want to do. I want it to fit on the dog's body the way that is best for this dog, so the clipper will tell you where to stop. Once I've done that, I have my line here and I have my line here, so I can just connect them on the sides. And everything under this ear, it's that line, needs to come off. And that's how you're going to make it for a retro trim. Retro shave necks are not for everybody, but if you have a client that's coming in with a matted neck every time, and they want their dog to have a fancy look, see if you can convince them to do one of the retro patterns. Because then the shaved neck is a part of it, and it's a little bit easier to convince them. So once I have the bottom shave line all around the dog's neck, you can sit the dog down to look away from you. And if you grab the dog's ears and reach them behind her head, wherever those ears meet is the bottom of the back of your top knot. That way your top knot is too high on the back of the head. If it's too high, then when you groom it, it's going to look like a baseball cap. And then I come up in a V from that point behind the dog's ears. So there was the lowest point where the ears met, and then I make a V up into the ears from that point. Now when I do my top knot, it won't look like a baseball cap, but it also won't be too far down the back of the dog's neck, which kind of gives it like an alien sack appearance. That's what I always call it. Looks like one of the alien monsters. And when they're like this, you can make your pattern more symmetrical. So if there's anything that is inconsistent, that's when you can really get it. Okay. So now all of our shave work is done, aside from the solitaire. She's such a bag of bones sometimes. Okay. So her shave line right here at the base of the tail. Here, I'm going to shift you a little bit. It's in a V like this. I'm going to take the fine side of my comb and pull it over the shave line. And just blend out this transition line. You want it nice and tight. We're not worried about angulation this or full legs that. We just want a nice clean groom. So it's completely smoothed out. What clippers are the blue ones? The clippers are the wall bravuras. Anyway, so that's one transition line. And then we can do the one at the neck. And I use a big curved scissor for this, just because she's still a standard, even if she's a little one. So a little bit easier to get the job done. But you just want to transition from that shave line. You want everyone to see how clean and tidy that shave line is. And you want it to look seamless. And then do that on the other side. Okie doke. Scissor her bracelets next. Let's get this spot I missed with the 4F. Okay. So this is usually pretty easy because you've already clipped off a lot of the bottom bevel. So you're really just turning a clipper finish into a scissor finish. Even if the dog is, 12 weeks overgrown, if you've already done that step with the clipper, when you go to do this step, it's always just going to be nitpicking. Oh. Okay, and then I'm going to comb everything up. See, if I go live on TikTok, I can listen to music still, but Facebook will kick me off. So we're here in this awkward silence. Anyway, you want to bevel the top of the bracelet first before you connect the top to the bottom. So I'll comb it up again, just to check. And you don't have to do things exactly the way that I do them, but I find that if someone doesn't do something frequently, like if you're not the type of groomer that has a lot of dogs coming in with bracelets, people will kind of just pick at them and keep scissoring and not really have a direction. So even with her having Addison's hair and us not needing to do perfect, amazing show dog job, I have a way to do it that is a process that I don't get lost in. And so that's, it's really important in grooming to have a step-by-step way of doing stuff so that it doesn't feel like you bit off too much. Sorry, maybe I can lift this up a little bit. I didn't realize it was so low, guys. My bad. But yeah, if you don't want to do your bracelets like this, you're like, hey, I do it this way. That's okay. But I just find that having a step-by-step will help you not feel like you bit off too much or that it's so overwhelming or anything like that. Okay. And then her back bracelets have no hair on them. She just breaks all of her long hair now. So we're just going to barely tip these. So with it all combed up, I'm just going to bevel in at the top, just like I did before. But I don't really touch here in front yet. I just want to look from behind and make sure that it looks, you know, bracelet shaped. And then you're going to do your bottom. Got to do the top and the bottom in order to connect the dots. Also, if you're looking at her feet and you're like, those aren't the best shaped feet. We do not shape her feet perfectly because of the Addisons. Her toenails will like split and get really sensitive and fragile and brittle. And if you go reverse or brush or anything in her nails, it does cause her a lot of discomfort. So we do just with the grain down off the foot to keep her foot hair short, but we don't nitpick it. Anyway. So now that I'm looking from the profile, I can take off the dead ends and make it a nice little shape. But as I said, she breaks a lot of this long hair, especially on the back legs. For what it's worth, I have placed with her in freestyle. I have placed with her in jackpot. She was grand in her heyday, but she just has had a rough couple of years, I guess. Interesting to see. My daughter is one of the best around East Texas area. Show championship dogs. PetHeart.com. Hi. Yeah, the animal industry is tight-knit. Oh, okay, and my thing just came undone. Okay. I don't have time to deal with that right now. How can I hold my hair back? Oh, no. Oh, there we go. Anyhow. So before we do the top knot, let's go ahead and do the solitaire. Oh, are you excited? Who do you see? So this is easier to see from this angle. We'll go ahead and do it. Like so. Okay, so when you are viewing this from above, okay, you should be able to see one point of the diamond on one side and one point of the diamond on the other side, just barely, before it passes over the thickest point of the spring of rib. So, it's hard to show you guys this, but typically what I do is I will literally stand over the dog and run my fingers down so I can find the place where the ribs spring out the most. Okay, and then you just have to choose a side that you're happy to choose. So I go like this, run my fingers down. The thickest point of this. Here. So now I'm going to be on this side. Okay, so I come down here because this is the thickest part of her spring of rib. Okay, and I just go and I make a V. And honestly, it just takes a little bit of commitment. And I only make the V, and I try to keep the line as thin as possible, because if you want to fix anything, you're gonna have to make it thicker. So you can't see. Okay, just a V like that. Okay, so then you take a comb and you put your comb on the point of this V and you roll it over your dog. And wherever it lands is where the point of your V should be. So that's basically how I do that and keep them symmetrical. And this is called a solitaire trim. It's where you do a diamond but you leave the center part. But I have competed with a diamond pattern in the freestyle class and placed second. So I actually really like this pattern, but the solitaire is a little bit different. Okay, so once you have both of your points, Then, with them both in my eyes, I can go like this and draw back, just with my fingers. Visually see where that's going to land, and then commit. And commit. So basically I'm going to make the 4 V's, and then I'm going to get them all to connect. So I have my line here, and I have my line here. So I'm going to draw and find where that point is. And then you connect those lines. I'll do on your side in just a second. Connect those lines. Okay, so now it'll look like this at the moment. And this is an opportunity, again, where we can make sure that we're staying symmetrical. Which means that I have to get in your way a little bit. But see, this point is a little bit wider. This one is a little bit narrower. So I fix that point, and then I want to fix this point. So they're both on the dog's spine. Okay. And then once you've set the width that it has to be in one of the corners, you have to set that width across all of the lines. So, now I know how wide it's going to be. Same thing on this side. Okie doke. So once you've done that clipper work, now you got to really reveal what you've done. And that's going to be how you really make it super crisp and clean. So I comb everything up towards the pattern line, and then use a straight scissor so I can start to reveal it. Comb everything down towards the pattern line. Straight scissor. Keep on repeating this process all the way around. So you can see how that V is starting to, pop out. So now we gotta do it on this side. And right now the V is a little bit taller than everything else. Like I said, it'll look like a turtle shell if you leave it that way. But if you blend into this section, you're gonna lose some height, and that height will bring it back down to being even with everything else. And maybe it's an extra step for me, and you could do it without, but I like to leave that to work with. Okay. So then, I guess I'll get a little closer because I need to, so I can see. It's a little bit easier if you have like a good mirror or something. But go ahead and just get her to stand as pretty as she can, as pretty as she wants to. I just don't like the solitaire to look like a, you know, like a 7F diamond. I want it to have a little bit of poof to it. So that's another reason why I like to leave it a little bit longer, and then I can scissor in the top line, and this area here gets to stay a little bit fuller than if I were to just clip it. Okay, now we'll do her top knot so it's all done and she can take a little break, and then we can pull it all together at the end. But she is tired of standing. Go ahead, you can sit. The sitting is always an opportunity to make things symmetrical, and it's not just in this trim. If I'm doing a lot of trims, when they sit down, it gives me a different viewpoint, so I can make it all perfect. Okay, so with the top knot, so she has a scissor top knot, no surprise there. We'll talk about how to get there, but her ears are short, and I don't want to grow them out. I do want them to stay short, but I like a top knot that does not break over the ear. I like one that stays full over the ear. So I'm going to switch to a 5F. And from just like basically 2 fingers, I'm going to just clip down. Just the 2 widths of the finger at the bottom of the ear. That way this ear doesn't get all puffy. It'll still have a nice tapered, like thinner ear leather down at the bottom. And as a part of the prep work, I already shaved the insides of her ears. But now you can scissor the outsides of her ears, which you guys see that? You cannot avoid this wrinkle. A lot of people try to like pretend it doesn't exist, but I always just like really get in there and make sure I got every hair from this wrinkle. Because scissoring this part is easy. It's the wrinkle that takes all the detail. She does not want to look at the camera like this. Here we go. How you doing? How about like that? She's like, no thank you. Okay. Same thing, other side. And I know a lot of people don't like scissoring in towards the ear, and you certainly don't have to. But when I'm getting into that wrinkle, I kind of scissor whatever way it takes, because I want all those hairs gone. It's like the armpit, right? You clip every which way to get the armpit done, and you're just super careful because you don't want to cut the armpit. Same thing. Okay. All right, so how I do the top knot. I comb everything back. Then I take a clipper And right along that line that we did earlier, I'll just etch in. Okay. All the way to the onset of ear. Then I'll take a straight scissor from the outside corner of the eye and just clip it real tight. This helps set up your expression, and it also helps keep the dog looking groomed and with clear eyesight for a longer amount of time. So then I'll pull the top knot over the dog's eye, take a large curved scissor reverse, and trim. Oh my God, there's the Super Bowl today. I forgot. It's also my friend's birthday. Jill Haley. If you know Jill Haley and you're watching this, don't tell her happy birthday. She is not excited about this one. So once I've done the front, I'll take all of my top knot and kind of get it all to hang over this corner and over this edge, and just reinstate that perimeter line all the way back to the ear. When you do that reverse curve over the eye, you eliminate like the need to really, nitpick over the eyes because you've already opened them up. So then you're just worried about the shape, which I like. Okay, so this is why we did this. She was broken over the ear when she got shaved down. So I'm trying to fill that break in. So I'll take this little thin part of her ear and I'll comb everything up. And then I'll take a curved scissor and trim the ear hair up into that break so that the break becomes less and her top knot starts to blend over the ears. Okay, so you can see how that side's starting to blend in and how this still looks broken over here, like broken over the ear. So by combing this ear hair up and then taking it in line, building up towards that break, you'll start to fill in over that ear. And then when the top knot's done, it'll all fit together. I used to loan one of my dogs to Jackie Bolton to compete with, and she always had my dog in a German. That's what she preferred. But she did the unbroken ear like this. And I mean, I didn't watch her do it, but she would send her home and I would be like, oh my God, how the heck do you do that? And if you've ever done a Wheaton in a show trim, you know that you kind of taper the ear up so that you can connect their little crown situation. And it's kind of the same thing that I try to do here. Okay, comb everything up, give it a little shake to see how it's going to lay naturally. She's got a little bit more over there. Alright, so now we gotta do this back where we have the V. That's the last thing that we have to do, and then we just pull it all together. Okay. So we have this V that we did on the back of the neck, and just like all the transitions we've been doing, just comb everything towards that line and reveal that really sharp clipper line V that you made earlier. So then you can stand them up. Oh, okay. And see what needs help. But as you can see, this top knot allows it to come to this point of the neck so that you can still have a nice fuller top knot without making it look like a baseball cap. So we're pretty much done. I'm going to go ahead and just run over everything so that it looks nice. This is your opportunity to ask questions so I can answer them as we're settling her up. So if you missed the beginning and you don't know what this pattern is called, or if you have an Addison's dog, Jet would love the love. I feel she has a rough time sometimes. Some people say that dogs live totally fine with Addison's and medication. And she's on medication and has Addison's, but every once in a while, man, she struggles. And I don't know. I can't say that she's happier in a shorter haircut, but the grooming process is a lot shorter. So who's going to be mad at that? If you also missed, the only reason why I'm doing this demo, I mean, she obviously needed a haircut, and sharing the knowledge is great, but I wrote an article. I write an article every month in Groomer to Groomer magazine, and this month the article is about her in this haircut. So we thought it would be nice if you had a video to reference that article. So, also, you may have missed that her Addison's makes that back leg really terrible. So now that the bracelet is like kind of done, I'm going to use a chunker just so that we don't take off a ton of length, but just neaten it up again. Trimming the hair always helps them be a little bit more healthy. If you are watching, you're like, man, I really need to get me some curved chunkers. Many of you know I work for Foxy Roxy Supply Company, and they've had the Scissor of the Month Club program for years. But they just came out with You Pick 6, which you can sign up and you get to pick all of your own choice scissors for the subscription. And curved chunkers, curved thinners, swivel thinners, 9-inch straight, big deal type scissors that people, would not consider basics. Those are options there too. It is currently just for right-handed people, but they're going to have a left-handed version available in like 2 weeks. So, and the options will be just as awesome. I see you. What's the blade length, please? So the body is in a 4, and then I clipped this solitaire area in a 1 at first, and then we're gonna make sure that it's all scissored in line, and that leaves just a little bit more fill in that area. Which, makes it look more, I guess, fancy rather than just like a flat pattern. This is actually the last time that I'm grooming Jet for the foreseeable future. I mean, I'm sure I'll still groom her, but I'm moving. And with that, I won't be able to, you know, just snatch her up and take her to the salon like I do right now. So, all right. So, this is Jet in her Miami, and I'm gonna fix up the solitaire in just a second, just to make sure it's perf. Drop her all the way down. Look over her. It is not easy doing these diamonds, I'll tell you that. This helps just make that line really stark too. So it's like, pow. Okay, now sit down so they can see. You can see her solitaire. Okay, I'll post pictures.